What's up, Dreadheads? It's DreadCode, and this week I wanted to talk about my own dreadlock story and why I wanted to get dreadlocks and the process of me researching and actually doing them, and maybe the little mistakes and kind of mess ups that now I see as comical but then were scary. So I'm gonna start off with what convinced me to get dreadlocks. I just kind of came up on pictures online of these beautiful dreadlocks, these thick, beautiful dreadlocks and the styles that they had of them, and I just wanted them so bad. So then I started following people on Instagram who had dreadlocks, and I would just want them. And when I want something, it's like I have to have it, especially when there's people around me saying that I can't or that I won't do it. So with that being said, I did research. I didn't try to do it right away. I knew that was something that was going to take time and patience. And of course, one of the first websites I did run across was Dreadhead HQ, and even though the basis of it is them trying to promote their own products, there is something there to be said of how to create dreadlocks. I ultimately came up with backcombing. So I looked up everything I needed for backcombing. I looked up how you don't need a special comb. You just go out and just get, as long as it's a metal comb, it'll be fine. So I went to the store and got a dog flea comb, and then I got wax, which I ultimately didn't end up using, and I got just cases of rubber bands, and I knew that I was gonna look like Sideshow Bob, so then I got bandanas. I didn't exactly get dreadlocks the day that I planned to. I was gonna do it 2 weeks after I initially decided to get them. I knew it was gonna take a while. I didn't do most of them myself. My sister, who has no idea how to do dreadlocks, I just thought, you know what, better to do it with someone who doesn't know how to do it for free than paying someone and them end up messing it up. So then I wrote down directions in a notebook, and it was just like exactly how to do them line for line. It was like 2 or 3 pages long of just how to backcomb them and what to do afterwards and the shampooing methods I needed to do, and just like picture examples. Like I was like so prepared for this. The day that I actually started backcombing was one of the longest days. It was a lot different doing it than actually writing it down and watching it on YouTube. And I know I said that I didn't use wax, but the minute all my dreads were finally made, all the knots were made, and all my hair was sticking up, on the Dreadhead HQ website, it says that after that is the time to put in wax. So when you put in the wax, you can't backcomb anymore, and that's it. It's kind of like sealing the deal on it. Since I bought my own wax, I was like, okay, I'll just use this. So this was mistake one that scared the shit out of me the first time I got dreadlocks. Was, I think it was the locking gel I used. Yeah, it was this locking gel that I used, and it was one of the worst mistakes and oopsies that I made. I think it was one of the center dreads that I had. It was one of the biggest, and I got the locking gel, and I only got a little bit, and I rubbed it on my hand, and then I rubbed it up and down the dreadlock, but it didn't feel like the dreadlock was even getting any of it. Like, it was just not working out. So then I put a little bit more on my hand and rubbed it in the dreadlock, and then the dread, or all the knots, started falling out, which I knew was one of the things that all the websites said might happen and is most likely going to happen if you don't know how to use wax. And it was like after over 12 hours of backcombing these dreads in, and they're just already falling out, and it was like one of the scariest and most like annoying things that could have happened. So then my sister was there. Her whole arm was hurting from just backcombing, and she was pissed. And I just decided, you know what, like, no wax for right now. I'm just gonna put in the rubber bands at the ends and just hopefully it works out. I didn't even know if I did it right. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I would research every single day, like day 2 of dreadlocks, like what to expect, what to happen, like 1 week of having dreadlocks, 2 weeks of having dreadlocks. And it pissed me off that every single video or every single forum or answer to a question was nothing's gonna happen. And it really irritated me because all I wanted to see was a picture of someone with it, or like if I did it right. I just wanted to know that, and you just can't really even tell. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing. It's like you spent all this time creating them, and all of a sudden it's like you can't do anything, and they look like shit, and you just have to kind of wait it out. And this is before I had even known about crocheting. I kind of researched about it, and the research that I did just scared the shit out of me to where I didn't want to even touch on crocheting. Around 3 months, that's when they started shrinking, and I took out the rubber bands I already took out the rubber bands at my roots. I only left them in for like a week, but I still had rubber bands on the ends, just kind of keeping them blunted. But I overall felt like, 1, they looked like shit, 2, the rubber bands kept breaking, and 3, it was not creating an environment for them to knot up. So then I eventually just took them out, and within like the 2-week period after I took them out is when they really shrunk. They had more character to them. They weren't like these fat things. They were just skinny, and they were really nice. During that time, I had to go to school. I was starting my first day, and that's kind of when my second mistake came up that I think a lot of dreadheads do, but none of them really admit, is straightening the dreadlock with a straightener. I would do it before school or whenever I had to go somewhere. That morning, I tried to straighten out my dreads as much as I could and like palm roll it, and I thought like, oh, it's okay because they're supposed to, like, your hair is supposed to be dried out. So I did that, and then I would put the dread tube on, and it was tight, and then like an inch of the dreads would come out because they weren't that big. And to this day, it's still like, why would I do that? Like, they would have looked fine either way, or I could have, there's so many other things I could have done to kind of help them not look like shit. And I thought that straightening them would be a lot better than crocheting. Right around 4 or 5 months is when I knew for sure that I did not mess up my dreads. Okay, I take back before. This is the biggest mistake I've ever made. I did something that I don't think anyone should try to do, and I will forever fight against this. It is so stupid. It is splitting your dreads. I'm still getting my dreadlocks to like grow out, and okay, so splitting your dreads is when you basically can get like scissors and you go into the root and you literally saw it and then you pull it apart, and it's like, that's like if you think your dreads are too big, but honestly, like, your dreads shrink so they get bigger, so there's no point in doing that if the new growth is going to be smaller and more compact, because you don't know what your dreads are going to look like until like once they're all grown out and it's like 2 years in. So I did this within like in the 4th or 5th month, and I split like 6 or 7 dreads, and most of them are up here. Like this one I did, like, it's fat right here, and then this is like the extension, but on the root, at the very root, it's so compact. Like, doing that would have, it just caused so many problems, and then crocheting them back so they can grow together and they can Congo together back to its original form is even more of tedious work. And it's like, why would I do that? Like, I'm still so pissed off at myself for doing that. Like, let me try to find another one. I know this one is the most obvious one. Okay, this one was a really big dread. It shrunk a lot. It was like that big. It's like, it's down to right here now, but it's so thick now because it's 2 dreads put into one. It's because when you split them and you palm roll them and they're separated, and then you try to put them together, it's even bigger than originally. So now it just looks awkward when I have my hair down. Like, it's like, then they shrink when you separate them. They shrink up, and it takes even longer for the growth to come in. It's just not worth it. Like, now I know patience, because I'm never going to do that again. And now it's even like, my punishment is waiting for the growth to come back. And it's like barely even growing in now. And I'm past a year. I'm a year and 1 month. And it took 7 months for it to start growing again. Like, dumbest mistake I've ever made in my life. Don't ever do that. I feel like the theme of this video is research. And my Dreadlock story is research, because I started my Dreadlock page. I started it because I did a lot of research. After making the mistakes that I did, I needed to tell other people not to make those mistakes, because splitting your dreadlocks was a big no-no. Like, that's a good note to end on this video. So please, before I say anything else more stupid, or you know what I mean, comment, like, subscribe, tell me what you think, or tell me, I actually want to know, tell me what was the stupidest thing you've ever done with your dreadlocks, like within the first few months, that just something that you thought totally made sense at the time, but now you're looking back and you wonder how you even thought that was okay to do. Because I feel like mine was pretty bad, so I want to hear yours. Okay. Bye.